So part of the genesis of this panel was to get the update from the guys that are building the back-end stuff that I've been talking about endlessly forever, the Latte Vision and all of that. But then I thought, you know, as always, we're really trying more and more and more, instead of having the technologists talk about their great products, to have brokers talk about it. Because one, they tend to know more about real estate than the tech people. And so we fanned out on Facebook and asked for recommendations. And we're really lucky to find Angela. And I would say to all of you that, you know, I listened yesterday to some of the breakouts and some of the articulate, smart, capable people that ask questions. I try to go up to them and say, who are you? You really sounded great. You'd be good on stage if you're willing to do that. And we're always looking for new blood. You know, there's millions of people in the industry. You don't have to keep rehashing the same old people every time. And we like new voices, new people. So in New York, in luxury, in our Connect on the road, if you're doing something special, you're willing to get on the stage, you're smart, you're intelligent, you're not a BSer, you've not done one deal a year, and you're really selling real estate, you're really good at what you do, you're using technology in a really clever way, I want to talk to you. You can just email me the old-fashioned way, email brad@inman.com, but we have a whole gaggle of people, Christy and Drew, who are out looking constantly for really smart, capable people. And the whole idea is we learn from each other. That's where Angela came from. I went on to Facebook, and she's from Indianapolis, and I instantly liked her, the sweet Midwest. And she just seems solid, not some bullshitter. She was like, wow, she really was just, it was like I was talking to my people back in the Midwest. So, Angela, we want to start with you and tell us all the stuff, and I was really impressed, that you're doing on the back end, not the fancy-pantsy marketing stuff, but the back end to make it easier for your agents, for your clients. And then what we'd like to do is, now you've got that, what do you need next to make it even easier? And these two really smart guys, they're like super smart, are going to tell us what's being built now that will do the last mile and what's in our way. Does that logic work for everybody?
Sounds great.
Yeah. It's all yours, Angela.
So we started looking at this issue about 18 months ago, maybe even 2 years ago, where we realized three things. The first thing we realized is that consumers have this portal wariness, and it's growing. So my husband just took a new job, and we had to sign up for 12 different portals, 3 of which were medical, dental, and vision, even though they were all owned by the same company, right? So consumers are kind of getting sick of everybody asking them to sign up for their portal, right? The second thing we realized was that we were making technology decisions in a silo. And what I mean by that is really for the modern brokerage, every single department is making technology decisions, and when they make them in silos, they're often picking the best thing for them, for that department, but they're not picking what's fitting in the overall strategic vision. So we kind of stopped all of that, and we said anytime we make any technology decision, we've got to get all the stakeholders in a room, and we have to realize that maybe the product that feels like a Porsche isn't right. We got to go with the Toyota because that's the one that fits our strategic vision. And then when we took all of that, we started looking for something that we could offer to our agents and our clients that would be that one place. But it's not out there yet. We've said this all week. It's not out there yet. So we said, what's the closest thing to it? For us, it was a transaction management system because our clients already have to log in. And at FC Tucker, we have affiliated businesses. We have title, mortgage, insurance, and we have our own internal Angie's List.
So you kind of like, we heard from Open Door, they own the transaction by owning the property.
Yeah.
You own a big piece of it by owning all these sub-rivers going out from it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so when we look at our internal Angie's List, which we call home services, we said, okay, we want to get all of you guys connected somehow into our transaction
And all these
management.
guys means all these vendors.
Yeah, all the vendors. So our home services has roofers and movers and plumbers and, you know, security people, all that type of stuff. And so when we decided to really double down on the transaction management portion of it, we really went to all of these ancillary services and we said, look, this is what we're going to use. You're going to have to use it too.
So you said plug in or don't play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I always thought you have so much power to do that with your vendors, or they're not going to get the business. I never understood why more people didn't do that. Like, if you want to play with us, you got to plug into our system.
Right, right.
Was it hard? Did you get pushback?
Oh, huge at first. But what we found is that at the end of the day, because we don't have this one login that works for all of our systems, we had to really start to rely on APIs.
And explain API.
Yeah. So an API is an application programming interface, and to make it short and sweet, that's how different applications talk to each other. It's how a transaction management company or transaction management software can talk to your accounting software.
Gotcha. It's a plug. So
Yeah.
who's building the APIs? Are you building them for your vendors, or are you requiring your vendors to build them for you?
So it's a combination.
Yeah.
So, we look at what our vendors have already built for APIs, and then the information from their APIs comes into our databases, and we found more and more we have to build our own APIs to get them out to people who really don't really kind of know what they're doing.
Now, let's then fast forward. You did all this stuff, a lot of pain, a lot of growing, but requirements, clarity, specifications, APIs, force your vendors to behave. And now, what happens in there for the agent quickly, and what happens in there for the customer quickly that makes your life, their life, everybody's life, like the party last night, wonderful?
Yeah, it's fantastic. So the first thing that happened for us is when we had everybody in the same system, our agents are able to connect clients with vendors like
in a
title,
safe,
mortgage.
secure environment.
Safe, secure environment. With one click of a button, they can connect their client with who they want to do business with. Now, if it's in our network, our mortgage, our title, those people are already in the system, so the agent really has to click a button. If the agent wants to use somebody outside of our service, they certainly can add them.
Yeah. And then document sharing, communication, it sounds like my speech a year ago.
Yeah, it's all happening
You should have given the damn speech.
Yeah. It's all happening inside the transaction management software. Right. So our mortgage people are putting the mortgage docs inside of our system.
Okay.
And it's being brought over from their system.
Gotcha. Now, Angela, I would guess the last mile for you now is how do you close in that environment, right? You still, you're using DocuSign or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So you're doing all that, paper's gone. But now we're getting to, let's sign on the dotted line. I say I can wire $1 billion to Switzerland if I had it tomorrow morning with Merrill Lynch, but I can't buy a $100,000 condo in Vegas without going through a million zillion crazy nutcase people trying to figure out paper shuffling. Where do we need to get the closing, and how close are we, and what do these guys need to do to make that happen?
Yeah, well, I think the first thing is covering kind of the government bureaucracy. In our state, this law literally just passed. The title company has to give the tax disclosures on goldenrod paper of a specific weight.
It says goldenrod.
Goldenrod. And if
in the law.
And we've had closings delayed because title companies run out of this specific paper. Right? That's crazy, right?
Is one of my reporters here? Let's go.
Because we ran out of paper.
Is this the state of Indiana?
Yeah.
Let's write an article about goldenrod paper in Indiana and how screwed up the regulators are.
Yeah.
And let's send it to the head of the Senate and the House of Representatives and say you're in the 19th century.
Yeah. So that's really the first thing, right? Like we've got to figure out how we as an industry can really look at those issues and say, are you kidding me? We just
Actually,
had to.
I can't believe goldenrod paper.
Goldenrod paper. Yeah,
oh my
absolutely.
God.
And so that keeps us in a paper environment, because of these.
Well, not only paper, goldenrod paper.
Yeah. But then, once we get kind of past that, we really are looking to the vendors, to help us come up with that one system that can service everything.
So you got to collaborate with them to solve the problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, let's then now move to these guys. Let's start with you, Pat. So I think we now see the problem. What's in the way and what's being built to take care of this so that in a year from now we'll say, hey, that's solved, let's solve a different problem?
Bad, maybe take it up a level and say,
Yeah.
what is the biggest issue that we face? And it's really the non-public private information and compliance, and that view from the lender's seat. The lenders are highly regulated, and I'll give you just an example of how that's manifested itself. In the last 7 years, the cost of originating a mortgage has gone from an average of $3,900 to about $7,500 a mortgage. That is a fairly significant increase in cost, and that's all been because of the need to be compliant with CFPB regulations.
Gotcha.
Lenders right now are deathly afraid of sharing any information outside of a perfectly secure environment.
Is that because of regulatory oversight? Is it because of cybercrime? Is it all
Both. Well, the regulatory oversight makes them responsible for any third-party vendor they deal with, so they conduct massive and intensive audits on your technology and your exchange of data.
Is this peculiar to mortgages? Because I can take a picture of a check and deposit on my iPhone. There doesn't seem to be a lot of security there. Yeah. What is it peculiar to mortgage and real estate aftermath of the subprime collapse?
You know, maybe a little bit of that, but also I will tell your audience that the amount of cybercrime going on right now is 100 times what you think it is.
Yeah.
We get hacked. We have a system that shows our system and whether or not we're being hacked. We're hacked 24/7.
Yeah.
24/7. We can see where they're coming from. They're coming from St. Petersburg, Russia. They're coming from the Czech Republic. And where they've really gotten traction is hacking realtors' iPhones. And then they get all the information around an escrow, and then they pretend like they're a participant in the escrow. They send us an email or they call us and say, hey, this is Joe Blow and I'm closing on Friday. I can't come in and pick up my check. Will you send it to this bank instead?
Gotcha.
That happens.
So let's get
nonstop.
over. So it's understandable why they're to think that the government's going to protect us seems really stupid. They're not. But I mean, against hackers, right? I mean, I bet 90% of those rules to protect us aren't even working. But let's now say you get the verification, authentication, the approval to share the data. You guys are just plodding through that mess to do that, correct?
Yeah, but we can't share any non-public private information.
So you can't plug into Tucker's system with any of my records so that I can have an easy, great experience.
If it's considered non-public private information, we cannot share it. And now,
I just think I would trust Angela more with my data than Bank of America. I really would. I really.
You know,
really
Brad,
would.
I don't want to defend the psychology
and Chase
behind
and all the rest of them. I'm not picking on B of A.
But I will tell you, until we have better data security, it is a huge issue.
Yeah.
So it's something we have to deal with now. Having said that, right now you're seeing more data exchange between settlement agents and lenders than I've seen in 45 years. And just not to bore the audience, but some of you may remember MISMO. MISMO was this gigantic effort by the mortgage industry to standardize data. And the idea being once data was standard, we would facilitate exchange of data. And this occurred in 1999. And we standardized all the data input in the mortgage industry, and nothing happened. Now all of a sudden, because of the economics I'm talking...
So that'll help speed this up.
Well, you would, yeah.
Let me
finish this. So what has happened, Brad, is that really had a nominal effect on anybody caring. I mean, really, nobody cared. Nobody used it.
Right.
But because of the economics being caused by compliance, lenders are engaging with us. We're doing more data exchange with lenders now than I've ever seen in the last year and a half, 2 years.
So I guess the question is Angela part of that discussion, meaning NAR, brokers? I know they're spending all this money upstream and broker portal and everything. I think they should all be focused on this and be at the table and make absolutely sure that Angela's part of the solution. So it's not over here with lenders and title companies in a black box and it's mystery, and she's sitting there trying to run a real estate company. She should be the one that's plugged into it.
Okay, I totally...
She's actually my front line protecting me against my lender and against all these people. That's how I feel about it. And I just always sense the realtors over here, they're not that smart, so they can't handle all this complex. And then you guys are over here, and it's like, I don't know. Why doesn't all those brokers work on this instead of this?
Okay, so that is not even a subject. Although, let me take, pardon me, I said something incorrect. CFPB just came out with an announcement that they're looking at modifying TRID so you can have more data exchange with the consumer and the realtor.
So this problem that we're all worried about is being solved?
It's not being solved. It's starting to be discussed.
Okay.
I mean, Brad, you and I will be long gone before this is solved.
Yeah, well,
right?
I can guess that.
We will be,
By the time
you and I will be fishing together, falling asleep on a riverbank.
Quinn will be
before this is
47
solved.
having twins. So I got that. Oh, God, I hate that, all that government stuff. Let's talk about technology.
Yeah.
So we can't solve TRID and MID and WIN, but we can develop product that gets us there. Talk to us about the general product development that's going on, Austin, that will help Angela do the last mile.
Sure. So interestingly, I think there's already a lot of innovation that has happened and that is happening that solves a lot of these problems, while I, as much as anybody else in this room, would love to be able to click and buy a house in minutes and not deal with the financing hurdles and bureaucracy that we just discussed. But I'm a big believer in focusing on the things in which we have the most control, and I think and we do have a lot of control over everything that happens before the transaction. In a perfect world, there would be one software that does everything, from search all the way through to the closing. But I don't think we'll ever get there, and I think that's okay. And I think it's okay because great companies tend to focus on their strengths and their core competencies. So for example, a technology solution like dotloop will probably never build an accounting software just because that's not our strength. So I think that there will continue to be a need for integration between tools, but what I would encourage brokers and agents to do is look for solutions that are end-to-end to the extent that they can be to eliminate some of these integration points. So one example—
It sounds like Angela's building that.
It sounds like it. I mean, but there's a lot of— I'll tell you some of the dotloop stories that I know. So I met a guy last week named Melvin Yates, who is an exit realty broker. About 10 months ago, Melvin was using multiple tools to conduct transactions. He had a software for his real estate form creation. He had a software that he was using for e-signatures. He had a software that he was using for transaction management on the back end. He implemented dotloop, and in 9 months, he went from 1 agent to 50 agents. And the reason why—
Because he got rid of all those and did one system?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Every time you eliminate an integration point, you are eliminating risk and you're eliminating inefficiency.
Gotcha.
So he can focus on the things that move the needle. Another customer that I ran into yesterday, Metro Brokers. They're doing a lot of the things that Angela just mentioned. From the moment that they onboard an agent, they're doing it in one system,
Yeah.
dotloop. From the moment that the agent meets a prospective client for a listing, that listing presentation is happening in one system, to the document creation, to the e-signature, all the way through to the back office, all the way through to the services from mortgage, title, insurance, and home warranty.
Gotcha.
So I think a lot of these tools are out there. We as an industry just need to adopt them.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's really still key. So I'm going to turn you up, Pat, on what you're building at West. What are the technology features you're building? But before we get to that, what are you working on right now, the next layer of dotloop? What your product set in the beginning was these signatures, those kind of things. What are features you're building? We're hearing DocuSign, which is, I guess, a competitor. They're doing this from lead to close. Is that similar to your product roadmap? What can the people here that are your customers expect you to deliver?
Sure. So there's a few themes that we're working on. So on the lead to close point, absolutely. I mean, that's something that we've been working on with our customers for 6 years, and many of our customers are already doing it. We have a lot of integrations with third parties, like Inside Real Estate's a recent one that integrated with us that enables that lead to close functionality. So that will continue to be a theme. But more broadly, I would say that we're focused on creating a standard in the industry. So
like what Pat spoke about, is this data standard or a different standard?
No, a standard in terms of helping the industry to adopt a common tool.
Gotcha.
If you look at a marketplace, marketplaces are most efficient when people are on a common currency or interacting on a common standard. And we're at a point in time now where I know dotloop's numbers, I don't track the others, but we have over 1 million monthly active users, over 300,000 of which are real estate agents using dotloop to create transactions. So we're focused on helping those real estate agents interact with other agents to create a common standard. 2 other themes that we're focused on would be mobile and Teams.
Yep.
We're seeing Teams as a huge, huge movement.
And so particular software for them. Great.
Exactly.
Angela, do you use dotloop?
We have a contract with dotloop. It's a little bit different from our contract with DocuSign, but we're happy with both systems.
So you play in both. What are you building at West, Pat? Because I know you're building.
Probably the thing that has me the most excited right now is our consumer dashboard. And this should resonate with everyone in the audience, because when a transaction is signed, when an offer is signed, it goes into a black hole for about 45 days. And the consumer frets, wonders what's going on, anxiety level goes up. So we've developed a dashboard, online dashboard, that automatically updates out of our escrow system and provides the consumer, both buyer and seller, with 7 points along the way: what's going on, how close the transaction is coming to closing, keeps them informed, keeps them in the loop. Now, I'm going to be straight up with you. I got excited about this because this eliminated 21 emails or phone calls. So I'm penciling out the dollars I'm saving on this, right? And I was real excited. But what I didn't understand and what really floored me was a consumer comes to the closing in a relaxed, happy state of mind. The closing takes half as long, less questions, and it reflects positively on our clients. It makes the realtor look good because the consumer has a positive experience. They're informed the whole way. So it saves me money, but it makes for a better transaction. And I applaud what these two are doing because the more information the consumer has, the more involved they are, the happier everybody is.
Keep up the good work, gang. You're making progress. I know it's tough, and we applaud you for that.
Thanks, Brad.
Thank you.